Alrighty, let's just jump right into it. A few disclaimers. Sorry for the kinda bad mic. I don't think it sounds that good. I think it sounds pretty bad, to be honest. But yeah, sorry for the trash quality. I mean, it's better than my phone's camera audio quality. And sorry for looking a bit haggard. I woke up not too long ago, looking at the time. Woke up not too long ago, a bit greasy, got a shower, is what it is. But for whatever reason, I felt like today is the day to finally make this video, because I've wanted to make it for a while, but every time I tried, it just didn't feel like it was the right time to do it. But it's been a few years, so for whatever reason, today just feels like the time to do it. So here we are. And I guess just to start off, before we get into it, just how important these videos are, because first off, it brings, for us, it lets you know, because a lot of us probably feel this way. I know I did and still do a lot of the times, that you're not as alone as you think you are. There's so many other people going through what you're going through and can relate to you. And some people are going through things that are worse than your situation. And it's so helpful to know that you're not alone, and we can help each other by making these videos. And yeah, like the support that you get is amazing. And sorry if I'm talking very slow, by the way. I'm trying to get a lot of my thoughts together. None of this was prepared. None of this is anything. I'm just doing it right on the spot right now. But yeah, these videos are very helpful. And because, like I said, we tend to feel very alone. It can make you feel very alone, very depressed, sad, anxious, all kinds of emotions. And it's just so helpful knowing that this isn't something you're going through alone. And there's so many of us out there leaving. And yeah, I could go on, but I'm trying to move along here. And also another thing too, making these videos is so important, because it really brings awareness to what is going on in Watchtower, and because so many people have no idea what really goes on in the in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. And people don't even know that the Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult. The things that they do, yeah. So and what people go through, like the average person really has no idea unless they know an ex-Jehovah's Witness. And even still, it's like we just got to get as much information out there as possible, is pretty much what I'm saying. As much information out there as possible, and really bring awareness to what is happening. Because what is happening is disgusting, it's gross, it's evil, and it's like we've had enough, and this just can't happen anymore. And I'm very grateful for channels like Lloyd Evans, who are making a massive impact on Watchtower. I mean, Watchtower literally watches his videos. I mean, it's crazy. It's so crazy what's going on. But anyways, we can go on about all that stuff in different videos. But let's just focus on this one for now, as we're almost 5 minutes in. I don't want to make it too long, Um, and I'm not even exactly sure where to start. I've kind of been debating if I should start from the way beginning or when I left and kind of work backwards. But yeah, let's start from when I left and work backwards. I feel like that'll be the easiest. So I left I left a little over 4 years ago now. I left in 2017. I woke up in August of 2017. And how that happened, I remember I live in New York, and we at the time were considering, really, me and my family were considering moving, and my cousins were, mind you, the only people in my family who are Jehovah's Witnesses was me, but at that time, me, my sister, mom and dad, and that's it. Like, everyone else is just like my cousins, aunts, uncles, all of that. Nobody is associated with Jehovah's Witnesses. So it's like, and I have a fairly big family. So out of everybody, it's like only my family is Jehovah's Witness. And so anyways, we went to Georgia because they were considering my cousins on my mom's side. They were considering moving to Georgia. So, and my family was considering it too. So we went down there and visited Georgia, and for a week. And during that week, we're doing stuff, visiting other family members I didn't even realize we had down there. That's why we went down there in the first place, because found out we have family down there. And we stayed with them. And yeah, I remember, I'm trying to get into it. Like I said, it's hard for my mind to think. I also have ADHD, so it's very hard for me to focus. So we wake up one morning, we're all talking, and what spawned my awakening was, we were talking about something about some crazy fight happened in some school, and I was like, oh yeah, my school. I went to Walk Hill School. I was like, oh yeah, my school. They had this crazy fight that happened. Like, mind you, I've been out of school already. I've been graduated for a while now. But I remember, like, because it was such a crazy thing that happened, there was just videos everywhere where there was like some massive brawl between teachers and students. And I remember seeing the videos and my mind was just blown. And I was just laughing because it was so ridiculous. And I was trying to find the video to show my aunt and my mom. And so upon typing, because there used to be this thing called Walk Hill fights. I was gonna see if that was still a thing and see if it was on there. I typed in Walk Hill onto my phone, and what came up in the recommended was, what did it say? Walk Hill Bethelite or something like that. And I was like, that's so strange that's like something that pops up as soon as I type in Walk Hill. And I type it in, and it was an ex-Jehovah's Witness video. I don't remember what the title was, but it was something about things going on in Bethel. Mind you, I have been to Bethel countless times, because where I live is right near Bethel and right near the world headquarters. But yeah, so I was like, I didn't really know what to think when I saw it. I was like, it caught my interest and I wanted to watch it, but I was like, I put it in my favorites and I was like, let me save that for later. That looks very interesting. So I later on, that had been on my mind all day. I don't remember what the title was, but it was clearly an ex-Jehovah's Witness video. And so I remember later on going to watch the video and just being, how do I describe it? So I'm listening to the video and watching the video, and you know, like when you're so indoctrinated, that part of you that wants to push everything away that opposes Jehovah's Witnesses is like there, that, what is it called? Whatever the word is for that. That was there trying to like push that away and be like, that's not true. These people are lying, or they're just stretching the truth, over exaggerating this and that. And that, you know, that part of me was there, and it just kept pushing it. But as I'm like seeing the video, there's all these other ex-Jehovah's Witness recommendation videos and ex-Jehovah's Witness stories and all this stuff. And I'm just like, all of this stuff is just there, and it's making me like so curious to see what it is. I'm like just seeing the titles, and so eventually I go onto this one page. I forget their names. They escape me right now, but it's a couple. It's a guy. He's some kind of Hispanic. He wears glasses. They both wear glasses. His wife, I think she was blonde. It's not Mark and Cora, but she's blonde and she has glasses, and she's from Denmark, I think. That couple, they make a bunch of ex-Jehovah's Witness videos, and they were really like the start of my awakening, because I watched one of their videos and it just resonated so much with me. And for a while, that part of me that the Jehovah's Witnesses have had instilled in us to push those things away and oppose it and view everything that is negative about Jehovah's Witnesses as a lie, the whole bit, that part of me was just there the whole time, like wanting to be like, no, this is all lies, this isn't true, you know, like they want you to not this, you know, that whole thing. And but it's like, you can't, when you watch these videos, you can't help but know that what the Jehovah's Witnesses have told you about these people are just lies, because all the things they're talking about are things you've experienced yourself. So it's like, how can somebody be lying to you about something when you yourself have gone through the same exact thing multiple times, time and time again? So it's like, and their knowledge, everything, you know, like I'm trying to put myself at that, you know, where I was at that point in time, because you have this thing that they've built up in you to oppose everything that's that goes against the Jehovah's Witnesses, that goes against Watchtower. But it's like, you just can't deny it when you've been through it too. So that was like slowly, you know, it was slowly making its way into my trust, to trust what they're saying and believe it, because it's like, you know. So as I'm going through it, I mean, it was crazy. Like, once you just start on one, I just started going on one after the other, like, it's just constant, to the point where all hours of the night, I'm just sitting there with my headphones on, like, listening to these videos. And it's just blowing my mind, because that was when I first heard of the Australian Royal Commission back in 2017. That whole thing going on, and that totally blew my mind. When I heard about that, the Australian Royal Commission, I was like, no way that this is actually happening. Like, there's no way. Like, why haven't we heard of this? And I think that originally started in 2015, the Australian Royal Commission. So I'm like, it's been a couple years, and nobody knows about this. Like, nobody knows. Nobody in the Kingdom Hall. Nobody knows about this. My parents don't. Like, how is that possible? This is such a huge thing. You would think, what were they being charged, like $1,200 a day or something for not releasing this database of pedophiles? And it's just like, what the hell is going on? So hearing that, like, it sent, like, I had goosebumps listening to all of those things, and it was so, like, disheartening, and you feel so betrayed too, because it's like all of this is being kept hidden from you because they know they're wrong. Like, they know what they're doing isn't right. Like, why else would you hide something like that from the rank and file? Why else would you do that? Unless you know you're wrong, unless you know you're ruining people's lives, which is exactly what they're doing. But that was really like the like, I have to get out of here. Like, this is crazy. And oh my God, one thing too, when I was in Georgia, it's so funny how this happened, because I remember hearing a video on how, like, multiple videos on how Kingdom Halls are being sold and they're closing, and there's barely any people in Kingdom Halls anymore, which for me was hard to see that because of where I live. I live pretty much in Walk Hill, right outside of Walk Hill. And like I said, I've went to Walk Hill Bethel so many times because I was friends with so many Bethelites. And it was hard for me to see something like that because the Kingdom Hall, like this is like the heart of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, the world headquarters is right over in Warwick, and the world headquarters used to be right in Walk Hill. So it was hard for me to see something like that because the Kingdom Halls around here are all fairly, I don't know now. I mean, it's been 4 years, so I don't know now, but back then, the Kingdom Halls here were pretty filled. And I mean, even still, it declined a little bit because of when they started sending home Bethelites and stuff at that time. But even still, it was pretty full, and just not something I really saw. So, which was funny because in Georgia, of course, when you go anywhere on vacation, you can't not go to a Kingdom Hall. You can't not just, when you're on that vacation, just not go to your meetings. It's like, oh, what are you gonna do? Neglect your meetings? How dare you? So it's like, I was dreading that. And especially then, because I found this out before we were gonna go to a meeting. And this was like such an eye-opener to me. This was crazy. So I remember hearing like, all the Kingdom Halls are half empty, stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know about all that. So I really didn't want to go to the Kingdom Hall. But I, had to because my parents, whatever. So we go to this Kingdom Hall, and it's literally like less than half empty. There's like nobody there. It was ridiculous. There's like nobody there. Half the people there aren't even paying attention on top of that. And then the guy was like, oh, so now we're going to call up it was a midweek meeting. So, they had the whole so much of it I forgot because so much of it I've pushed out of my mind. But whatever part of the meeting that is where you have two people go up and you're pretty much demonstrating going out in the ministry. And he calls the two people up and they weren't even there. Three people didn't show up for their parts. The two people who had to do that didn't show up for their parts. So they didn't even do it. They didn't do the parts. He was just like, called them up and nobody comes up. And he's like, well, I guess they're not here. he didn't say it in those words, but he just kind of goes over it, and then he just plays the videos, and then he calls up whoever it was for their part. I don't remember the parts anymore. For whatever part is next, they weren't even there for that, so he took over and did that part. So it was just like, oh my God. Like, seeing that was so crazy. And then people left, like, the first half of the meeting. A few people left. So it's like there was nobody in there. And it was just eye-opening and hilarious seeing that. I'm like, wow, like, it really is true. Especially in Georgia, that's the Bible Belt South, you know? But, man, is it part of the Bible Belt? I don't know. But regardless, there was nobody there. And people were leaving halfway through the meeting, and people didn't even show up for their parts, which that I've never experienced before. There's never been I can't recall a meeting where somebody just didn't show up for their parts. Because if somebody wasn't going to show up, they would have a substitute ready. Like, you would let you would let the elder know that you're not going to be there to do your part, and that they would have somebody cover for you. But like, they didn't even do that. It was just so crazy seeing it. Very eye-opening. So at the end of the meeting, as we're all leaving, I felt very gross being there. I felt so gross because I had just been listening to these ex-Jehovah's Witness videos, especially talking about pedophiles and stuff like that, and now I'm like, it's making me think, like, in my own Kingdom Hall, like, who knows if those people can be in my Kingdom Hall. And there, it's like, who knows what people here could be there. And it felt gross just being there, knowing that Watchtower isn't doing a damn thing about it. And these disgusting fucking people are just roaming around, doing as they please, as if they're not a fucking pedophile. So I felt very gross and wanted to get out of there immediately. And I'm just very glad we didn't linger around too long. But man, that was what an experience that was. It was hilarious just seeing that. Like, nobody showed up for their parts. And nobody's there. And it kind of made me happy too, because I was like, good. If this is what's really going on, then good. But yeah, that was the very beginning to my awakening. And then I started to discover channels like Lloyd Evans, and he's been a huge help on my awakening, because he puts out so much information. And I think everybody should check out Lloyd Evans. He also goes by John Cedars. I think he mainly goes by John Cedars. If you're questioning, if you're anything of the sort of questioning whether or not the Jehovah's Witnesses is the true religion or the truth, as they always call themselves, Lloyd Evans is the man to go to with logical information, and he has discussions with people. Like, there's so much that he does. Just go check him out. He has been a huge help for me. And also Mike and Kim, they were a big help on my awakening. They're another channel you should check out. And of course, these ex-Jehovah's Witness videos. Just all these different perspectives, all the different things people have gone through. John Cedars, he was an elder at one point too, so you get a lot of inside information. And the toughest part in the beginning was, like I said, that wall that you have built up of, like, you want to push it away because you were trained to push these things away, because you were told all the time that they're lying to you and it's Satan. They're pretty much satanic. They're guided by demons and Satan, and he just wants to get as many Jehovah's Witnesses out how do I explain it? Like I said, I've been out for a while now, and I've not paid attention to a lot for a while now. So I'm forgetting a lot, which is kind of a good thing for me, because I'm glad, because a lot of that stuff isn't on my mind anymore. But well, I'm trying to remember how the Jehovah's Witnesses used to phrase it. Pretty much they're all apostates, and they're trying to mislead you so that you can't live forever in the new world, and that's all Satan wants to do. And that is always in your head. That has been instilled in you that has been instilled in me since I was a kid, because I grew up in this religion. Cult, I should say. I grew up in this cult, so that is shoved into your head. That is chiseled on your goddamn brain. And it was very hard to fully break down those walls in the beginning. I was letting it in, but there was that defensive part of me that was always there. So, but from taking in all this information and keeping an open mind and questioning everything, like, how can I trust this? For me, what did it was the experiences, because you've gone through it before too. So it's like, they're not lying when they've gone through it, and they're thoroughly explaining to you what's happened. And for me, and even still, that took a while for me to really do that, because I'm like, well, what if they're just lying about their experience? What if this and that? But when you're a Jehovah's Witness, like, there's just certain things you cannot, like, you can't make up so many things. It would be just like, it would just be too, like, who would go out of their way? I mean, not that nobody would do it, but who would go out of their way to make up the most detailed lies of going through the same thing you've gone through? You know? It was pretty much just that, because I know there's people out there, especially when you're just leaving or considering leaving, you're very defensive about watching anything, taking in any kind of apostate information, anything that opposes Jehovah's Witnesses. Even the word apostate is like, whoa, like that word sends shivers up your spine. You're like, oh my God, apostate. But because even for me, hearing that word apostate in the beginning was like, yeah, that was a trigger word for Jehovah's Witnesses. But anyways, where did I leave off? The videos, they help a lot. And like I said, what helped me was the experiences, was what people have gone through, because you've gone through the same thing. When you hear so many of it, it's like, after a while, people just aren't, all of these people too, like, it's not just like one person, it's like numerous amounts of people. They're not all just making this up. So that started to open me up more to trusting, taking in the information, and really thinking about it, really thinking about it, because that's the one thing Jehovah's Witnesses don't like, the one thing Watchtower don't like the rank and file doing, is thinking for themselves, because, you know how it is. You go to the meetings, they tell you what to think, they give you the answers, and you just accept it. You can't be like, well, you can't be like in the middle of a Watchtower study, when you're studying the magazine or when you're studying the book. You can't just be like in the middle of it like, I don't really think that scripture you're putting there in context of the chapter relates to what you're trying to put forward here. Excuse me, like, you can't do something like that. And same with the magazine, like, or you can't read it and be like, I'm not I'm not exactly sure on that. That doesn't really sit right with me. Can we talk about this? Like, it's hilarious to call it a study because it's not a study. It's, you're just given information and you accept it. That's all there is to it. There's no if, ands, or buts. They may tell you that you can question, but you can only ask the right questions. But anyway, I'm going way off track here. This is why I want to leave a lot of this stuff to different videos. Back to the ExJW story, leaving. So yeah, I'm going to try to go back to where I left off. I went a little off track there. So when I left, I'll cut to the last time I went to a meeting. Well, we'll go a little before then. So I'm watching all these videos. My world is like being torn apart because it's like this thing that you've had built up your whole life is now being torn down brick by brick. And for me at the time, all of it made so much sense. Even though I had that defensive wall there, it was making sense. And that's what kept me coming back. What kept me coming back, because it made sense. And it made me feel all kinds of weird ways. But I was addicted to listening to these stories and listening to all the information people had to say. And I started going more and more into the Australian Royal Commission because that one really, really piqued my interest at the time. I mean, how could it not? And with everything that was going on, I was watching video after video of what was going on, finding out that they're being charged $1,200 a day, whatever that amount of money is, and seeing the governing body on camera lying. It was crazy. It was crazy. And knowing that, so when I got back, when we got back from the vacation, it was so, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, what do I do now? So I started watching more and more videos when I'm home, thinking like crazy, watching more videos, thinking like crazy, and going to the meetings now became like 50 times harder. And I'm just sitting at these meetings like, nobody has any idea what is going on. Like, nobody has any idea what's going on. I don't know if you can hear my stomach rumbling. But I was like, nobody has any idea what is going on, and it's bothering me. And so, cut to the last day I'm at the meeting. This is what made me leave. This is what made me leave. And it's like it was supposed to happen, I swear. It was a Sunday morning talk, and I don't remember which guy was talking on stage. I'm trying not to use their words, by the way. That's why I'm saying guy instead of this brother. I don't like using their phrases because, yeah. But anyways, so this guy was talking on stage, and he says, "Aren't we so glad that we don't have to go through what the world is going through? Like the Catholic Church, for example." I mean, this isn't word by word, but it was something along these lines. I'm not going to remember something from that long ago, word for word, but he's like, with the Catholic Church, and talking about pedophilia, and he's like how they're doing this and that with sexual abuse to kids and yada yada, and he's like, and aren't we glad we don't have to deal with those things? We don't have to go through that. We don't have to go through what the world goes through because we're in Jehovah's one true organization. And like, I was sitting in the back room too, and I was just like sitting there, just like, I can't do this. I cannot do this. Like, These people are blind. These people have no idea what is going on. Like that blew my mind that he's just said that from the podium, yet they're being investigated for pedophilia. Aren't we glad we don't go through this? Little do you know, your organization is getting plowed right now by the Australian Royal Commission. Like, so that just really, that for me, that's what did it. I couldn't go back after that. That was my last meeting. And then, so after that, you know, I kind of just started making up excuses at home as to why I can't go. Not feeling too well, this and that. Because I didn't know how to present that to my parents, like, because I knew I had to. It's not just like, you know, it's not just like I can't, you know, how do you say something like that to your parents? Something you grew up with your whole life, and your parents have always been counting on you to be a Jehovah's Witness and do this thing for your whole life. And, you know, that's what you were taught. That's all you know. That's what they expect you to be. And, you know, they want to be with you in the new world. You all want to be with each other in the new world. How do you bring that news to your parents? By the way, I'm going to start just using the phrases like how I said the new world. If there's anybody listening who has never been a Jehovah's Witness and has no idea what the new world is, I'll explain a lot of stuff like that. I'll get into in other videos. But yeah, anyways, you know, it's like, how can I explain to my parents, you know, and because it would break their heart. It would, like, and I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know if I'm going to get kicked out of my house when I tell them I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore. I don't know if I'm going to be disfellowshipped. I have no idea what is set in store for me. So it took me a while. It took me, I say a while, but like in how other people tend to move, what I find fairly slowly, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But for me, a while was like, it was like 2 months, I would say. It was like 2 months, maybe a month and a half, to finally leave, to really stick to my guns and be like, this is something I cannot associate myself with. This is something I don't want to be. This is not what I want to be, because this is lies. I'm being lied to. And the Australian Royal Commission was enough for me. Because once you start involving the lives of children in such a disgusting way and treating and completely disregarding them as though they're not human, is just, it's indescribable how disgusting that is. I really have no words for it. And to me, it's like, really, what all loving God would ever allow something like that? Like, don't tell me it will be dealt with in Jehovah's due time. It's like, okay, so we're just gonna have who knows how many people there are that are going through this, how many children who have gone through this, and how many children who have grown up and are still dealing with the things that have happened to them, dealing with these things, and these abusers still walking around. Like, how is it that when it comes to that's going to be dealt with in Jehovah's due time, but this couple over here who decided to go out alone and not have a chaperone with them, they're going to get roasted. They're going to get their ass handed to them. Or some couple over here who had sex before they were married, they're going to get roasted, and you know, they'll do everything in their power to go after people like that, to go after people who to go after normal things. For whatever reason, they obsess over sex. So it's like a man and a woman who aren't married and who are dating, they end up having sex. People end up finding out. You're done for. For the most part, you're done for. So it's like that is enough for them to take action, but child sex abuse isn't enough. That's not enough for you to that. So this is, you know, doing Jehovah's time, dealing with some couple. That's doing Jehovah's time, but not dealing with a child. Are you kidding me? You know, I can go on, but I won't. So, man, where'd I leave off? I'm getting on these little rants, but ultimately, yes. I ended up telling my parents about a month and a half later. I went to I just realized I got part of the story wrong. So I did still keep going to meetings after that happened, because I remember deciding there that was my last meeting I would ever go to. Like, I can't do this anymore. But I knew I had to make my exit. I did start not going to meetings anymore. Very slowly though, like I would miss one this week, then I would miss a midweek meeting this time, go to the Sunday meeting, and the next week go to the midweek meeting, miss the Sunday meeting, sometimes miss meetings the whole week. And I remember my dad, he got really mad at me. He was like, what did he say? He got super mad at me because he's like, you're having all these phantom headaches that appear out of nowhere when it's time to go to the meeting, and this and that. He's like, and you're always not feeling good when it comes time to go to the meetings. And I'm like, I just didn't say anything. So I'm like, yeah, it's getting time to finally, like, I gotta finally do this, because they're gonna find out, or I'm just gonna have to say it, and I would rather just say it. So I remember it was a midweek meeting in October, and I said to my mom, I was like, I have to talk to you, like, after the meeting. So take her in my car, and I'm talking with her in the parking lot of the Kingdom Hall, pretty much how, like, I can't do this anymore. And I start explaining to her why, with the whole Australian Royal Commission thing. And she's immediately, you know, on the JW defense of why are you listening to apostates and their lies and this and that. And I'm telling her, I'm like, Mom, these are not lies. You can look into this for yourself, that this entire Australian Royal Commission that is going on is not a lie. This is something you can look at. And your own governing body members are speaking with this thing, like, at the Royal Commission. So this is not fake made up apostate lies, you know? So, and that was a whole thing that went down. A lot of this, I don't remember all the little details. I forget a lot of it. But yeah, I told her in the car that I didn't want to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore, and yeah, so, and then it came down to eventually her telling my dad, because it's like, we have to have a whole discussion about this, and I stuck to my guns the whole way. I didn't budge. Because, you know, my dad whipping out the Bible, trying to tell me this, that, and the third on why I should stay and why I'm making the wrong decision and how I'm leaving the truth. And, you know, bringing up that, like, leaving was also a big eye opener too, because all the Jehovah's Witness phrases start coming out. All the phrases that you use on a weekly basis start popping out left and right. If you leave, where will you go? You know, stuff like that. The same stupid phrases they regurgitate. Oh my God. So popping all that stuff out, and I'm like, you know, I did my work, fortunately, because I did so much research. I did so much work. And I remember when he said, him and my mom said, like, where will you go? And I said, well, that Bible verse doesn't say, that Bible verse isn't saying, where will you go to? Like, it's, how did I say this? I don't even remember the Bible verse correctly. But it was something along the lines of, because I'm leaving, because at the time I don't know what my beliefs were at the time, but at the time I was like, it's not a matter of, I'm not leaving God because I'm leaving an organization. I'm leaving the organization because they're doing things wrong. And then the whole, well, it's led by imperfect men and this and that. And it's like, but that's the thing. It's led by man. There's nothing more to it. It's led by men, and they're not inspired by God, and they say that themselves. So how can you say there is of any divine or spiritual influence upon an organization that is not, that explicitly says in black and white that they're not inspired of God? Then what are you? That makes you just like everyone else. That makes you a human just like everyone else. So, but we went back and forth for hours and days. It was like day after day after day. It was like they were trying so hard to they were trying so hard to get me to stay. And I was just like, no, like, I'm not doing it. And even parts where I didn't have all my information, I'm just like, no, like, I'm not doing it. I'm not. This is not something I can do. And it turned into arguments. There was crying. There was so much. And this happened for a while. Like, this happened through the rest of the duration of 2017 into pretty much all the way throughout 2018. And they stopped probably towards the end of 2018, early 2019. That's when they stopped being so crazy about always having these discussions all the time and arguments. Like, there was a lot of arguments too, a lot of yelling but during that whole time too, there was from having these discussions and arguments, there were so many eye-opening things that happened. Like, just seeing how my dad, especially my dad, would react. It's like a switch gets turned on in their head, and it's like they're a different person. It's so strange hearing the things they'll say to you. Like, your own father will say, like, one of the last discussions we had, he comes into my room because I told my mom, like, I don't believe in God. I have really no reason to. I don't believe in God. And to me, that's okay. Maybe there is a God. I don't know. And I'm okay with not having the answers. And that was pretty much the discussion between me and my mom, long story short. And I remember I'm in my room, just playing guitar, and my dad comes in and he's like talking to me about, he's like, so your mother tells me like you don't believe in God and this and that, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know what I believe in. Same thing I said to her, I said to him, like, I don't know what I believe in. Maybe there is. I don't know. But that's okay. I don't have to have the answers. I don't have to know. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I don't need every answer there is. Because that's one thing Jehovah's Witnesses, like, they feel like they have the answers to everything, to the point where it's delusional, to the point where it's just unbelievably delusional. But that turned into a whole argument, and he said to me, he's like, you're a disappointment to me, son. And for whatever reason, that really set me off. That got me really, really upset. Really, really angry. And I just called my friend. Well, before I called my friend, and I was like, that's what you think of me? You think I'm a disappointment? Like, this was an argument. I was like, that's what you think of me? You think I'm a disappointment? I took my guitar, I slammed it on my bed. My poor guitar. I slammed it on my bed. I slammed the door behind me. I never hit things, by the way. I'm not a violent person. I'd never hit things. But I was so enraged. It was like a hammer fist. As I'm walking, I hammer fisted the wall. My fist went right through it, and I was so surprised that I was because I hit it right perfectly between the beams of the wall, where it just went perfectly right through, and I'm just like, doof, as I hit the wall, and I just stormed off outside without my shoes on. I was just in. My mind went crazy. I just stormed outside. I'm outside, going to my car. I don't even have my keys. So I go inside, call my friend, get my keys. I'm like, yo. And he just heard it in the sound of my voice. He was like, yo, man, are you good? And I was like, dude, are you free right now? And he's like, yeah, bro. So anyways, I go over to his house, and we just drove around for hours. We just drove for hours just talking. I didn't go to work the next day because I was just so rattled. But yeah, lots and lots of discussions and arguments, and those fortunately ended. And yeah, but since I had made my exit, I did tons and tons of research for a good year, the year 2018. So I got laid off from my job end of 2017, which I didn't go back to. I was more so fired. Mind you, the guy I worked for was a Jehovah's Witness. So yeah, I didn't go back to that job. So I was jobless for a long time, almost a whole year, pretty much the end of 2017 to end of 2018 was almost a whole year of no job. Or was it? No, not the end of 2018. When did I? Yeah, no, yeah, it was end of 2018 because I'm thinking when I got my second job. So, and I was looking for jobs too. At that time, I could not find a job. I was putting in job applications every day, just collecting unemployment, and it was crazy. But that time allowed me to just sit in my house and, like I said, I was watching John Cedar's channel, going through all kinds of different YouTube channels, JW Facts, all this stuff, and just taking in tons of information. And those walls slowly, like I said, brick by brick, slowly but surely started to come down. And it got to a point where pretty much when my defenses were fully pushed away from me, there was a part of me, it was so strange because I was so, you go through all kinds of emotions in that time. I felt, I felt very betrayed. I felt very, at the same time, relieved that I'm not part of something that I'm being lied about to. I'm not being lied to. I'm not, what's it called? You're not being lied to. You're not being a part of something that's deceiving you. You're not, you don't have to be subject to going to meetings all the time. You don't have to be subject to, you're exposed to the real truth, the truth about the truth. And that was very positive for me. But what was also negative was leaving, because you're so attached to that. That is just a part of you, because I grew up in it. You're raised that way. And leaving something that you were raised as, it's so attached to you, and you don't realize how attached it is to you until you try to detach yourself. And it's clinging on the whole time you're trying to leave. And there's a part of it that I think will never fully go away. But yeah, so that part of me that I remember, and I was well along. It was like summer of 2018, or just about to be summer. I was, mind you, this is days and days, day after day, like spending hours just taking in information and thinking about it. And it got to a point where like this part of me was like, felt the need to go back. Because that's where you're comfortable. That's where everybody's, they have that fake niceness all the time. That's where all of that is. But that's such a part of your life. I don't know how to describe it properly, but that's such a part of your life that you're attached to. There's a part of you that just pulls you to that. And it's like, I remember when I felt that need to go back, I felt so lost and like nothing without it. And it scared me. I was like, why the hell am I feeling this way? Like I remember I was in my living room, I'm just like freaking out. I'm like, why do I feel this? Like, I know this isn't true. I know this is a bunch of bullshit. I know this is lies. Even from my own experiences, I know this is lies. Like, why am I feeling pulled to this? So I had to sit there and reassure myself. I just had to reassure myself over and over again that what I'm doing is the right decision, and that what they're doing and that they're lying to you, and they've brainwashed you, and that's why you're feeling this way. And it's a cult, and this is all part of how they operate. So I had to really sit there and work through it, because that was scary, and I was like, I don't ever want to experience that again. And fortunately, I never have after that. But yeah, that was a very crazy moment for me. And I guess I kind of want to jump to, because I'm kind of just going through the awakening process right now. But I kind of want to jump to what led to that, because I've always questioned the Jehovah's Witnesses growing up. I've questioned everything because of my experience through life, and that's just part of who I am. I've always been the type of person to learn the hard way, learn through experience, learn through doing something. That's just always been who I am, even as a kid. You tell me as a kid not to do something, I'm going to do it because you told me not to do it, because I'm like, I want to see for myself if that's how it really works. That's what I mean by learn the hard way, because sometimes through doing that, you do end up learning the hard way. But I'm not sure where I should jump to from that. I guess I should keep going until now. So this is 2018. There were many ways that I coped with leaving, because it was very hard. Because like I said, there's a lot of attachments that kind of keep you to it. That specific attachment I talked about before, where you feel this need to go back, thankfully, that only happened that one time. And from that point, probably because from that point I was really because you go through stages, and I felt like it was so early on too. I felt like I had disconnected myself pretty well, but that was kind of like a slap to the face. Like, you still got a lot of work to do, so you gotta really work on yourself. So I started working hardcore on myself after that, and I'll get into this in another video on all the different ways that I've helped myself deal with it, because with that comes, I mean, I've dealt with as it is, just as it is growing up, with a lot of depression and anxiety, so many things from growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. I think I should probably make this a part 2, because we're an hour in. So this will be, yeah, I'll make this part 1. Part 2 will be growing up, because that just makes sense. So yeah, I'll finish it off with to where I am now. So going through 2018, yeah, lots of research and discovering different ways to cope with leaving, different ways to cope with leaving and dealing with my emotions, because it was very hard. None of it was easy, because now you're dealing with the opposition of your parents. You're dealing with, now I'm getting random text messages from, a bunch of the, like I said, I'll use the phrases now just for the video, so it makes sense to Jehovah's Witnesses watching. Now I'm getting random texts from brothers and sisters, my friends. I had a lot of Bethelite friends, so now I'm just getting text message after text message, because now word is spreading. I haven't been going to the meetings, and who knows what else they were saying about me. Getting texts from people who, mind you, so there's a lot of cliques, I feel, and in the Jehovah's Witnesses. And there was this one group of friends, we would sometimes hang out, me and my sister, but they would exclude me and my sister out of a lot of their activities, because I guess we weren't enough like them. We didn't all listen to the same music. We didn't all, whatever the case was, we were just a bit different from them in certain aspects, so they didn't hang out with us. Some of them never talked to me unless we were in a group setting. And all of a sudden, I'm getting text messages from those people like, hey, I really miss you. I miss seeing your face in the hall, and I miss talking with you and this and that. No, you don't. You don't. Why are you lying to me? The whole time when I was there, you could have hung out with me. Don't lie. The whole time I was there, you could have been hung out with me. We could have been hanging out. We could have been doing stuff together. But you literally always chose to never do that. You would rarely invite me and my sister to hang out with you guys. You would never even talk to me at the Kingdom Hall. So what do you mean? What are you on about? Is it really that you miss me? Or is it that elders are telling you, hey, give so-and-so an encouraging text because they haven't been here? Because it's not a coincidence that, by now, we all know this when you've made it this far. It's not a coincidence when you randomly just start getting text messages from people out of the blue saying how much they miss you, yet you've never hung out with these people, or you rarely speak a word with these people, talking about some I miss you. How can you miss someone you don't spend time with? You can't bullshit me like that. I'm sorry. So that in itself was just more realizations. The more they would do, the more it solidified my decision to leave. So like I said, I'm getting these text messages, and now I'm getting a text message from a friend of mine who moved to Seattle years ago, and we rarely ever talk to each other. All of a sudden, hey man, I've been thinking about you, and this and that. Because, mind you, I forgot about this. Man, I'm telling you, I forget everything. I forgot about this. At the end of 2017, I had already left by then, like not going to the meetings or anything, in October. So in November, I went to, that was around when I got laid off too. I ended up going to where he lives in Seattle because he wanted to see me and my sister. And it was just bad timing, man. Bad timing. So we ended up visiting him in Seattle. And like I said, the more that there was just, when you have this new mindset of being out, like you've made the decision, this is not something you're going to do. For me, anyways, there was so many mind-opening moments. Like, so we went there. By the way, he has no idea. He has no idea that I had left, him or his wife. And we're just hanging out with him. Little does he know I'm over here. Little apostate. Little does he know he's hanging out with an apostate. Hilarious, but you know, I did have a good time there. Honestly, I really did. Because he was always one of those the Jehovah's Witnesses I was friends with were the more laid back Jehovah's Witnesses. The ones who weren't so uptight about watching certain things, playing certain video games, talking a certain way, all those things. Like, we would watch rated R movies with him. Like, when me and my sister were kids, like, we watched, what's that one movie, The Hangover, when I was in middle school with them. So, you know, that's the type of dudes I hung out with, type of people we hung out with. So, because, you know, like I said, I'll get into that in different video when it comes to how I grew up, but small piece of information, that's just how I was. I never really adhered to what they said, because a lot of things never 100% made sense to me, and like I said, I've always questioned things, but there was always a lot of fear. But that's a whole different thing. But anyways, so I did have fun when I was there, because we did do fun things, and didn't even go to a meeting that week, which was awesome. Didn't go to any meetings that week, which was fantastic. That he didn't feel the need to have to go to meetings. Like I said, those were the type of Jehovah's Witnesses I hung out with. The ones who aren't babies about things like that. Like, we gotta go to the meeting, man. We can't neglect going to meeting on vacation. Like, I didn't pack a suit with me. Are you kidding me? So especially then, God, I don't know what I would have done if I had to go to a meeting. Especially, like, because I'm already 1 month in of not going to meetings. So they had no idea. And we're hanging out with their Jehovah's Witness friends. This was crazy. So we're sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings. And this is another one of those eye-opening moments. And they're all talking about the new world and this and that. As, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses randomly just like to talk about. And he goes, you know, he's like, we're so fortunate. We're so grateful to be sitting here. And that, what did he say? I'm trying to remember. We're so grateful to be sitting here knowing that we're all going to be together in the new world. And it's really sad that, like, talking about everybody else around them, that it's like, it's really sad that everybody, like, all of these people around us, like, we're going to be the only ones making it into the new world, and we're going to be the ones living forever in paradise and this and that and going on and on. And I remember just sitting there just like, because they were kind of over there. It was me, my sister over here. And even she wasn't paying attention to what they were talking about. I don't really know what she thinks about everything, but anyways. So I'm just kind of like listening to that, just like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's just making me angry, because I'm like, it's just, Like I said, it reinforces it even more because you're hearing the cult speaking. You're not hearing the person talking. You're hearing the cult speaking. And what I mean by that is the phrases, they're using the same phrases over and over again. What he's saying isn't something what he's saying is something I have already heard from every single other Jehovah's Witness ever in almost the same exact words. That is the cult speaking. That is how they've taught you to speak and what to say. And of course, everybody chiming in, having their whole spiritual orgy, everyone all chiming in is all saying the same things too. There's nothing anybody there is saying that any other Jehovah's Witness I talk to wouldn't tell me. So it's like, it's pissing me off, but it's reinforcing me at the same time. And I'm just like sitting there like, my God, can we just talk about something else? Can we just like anything but this? Why? Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? But what was very interesting too was meeting this one lady that was there. Her son, I don't remember I think he is a Jehovah's Witness, but he's inactive, or he like, something along those lines. And because I remember she was some lady we met there, and she was honestly so incredibly nice. She was such a nice lady, such a beautiful woman. Like, she had a great heart, such a beautiful person. And like, it was just nice, like, because she was one of those Jehovah's Witnesses that you rarely meet, that you can tell has like a mind of their own, and they don't quite agree with everything. They don't agree with most things. She was one of those people, and it just made me so happy to just be talking to this woman. And her son was coming, and she was like, "Oh, my son is coming." And she's like, and she pulls me and my sister aside. He's like, "Yeah, he's around like your guys' age," because I just turned 21 at the time. And she was like, he's around your guys' age, and it's like, and just don't talk about anything like relating to, Jehovah's Witness. However she phrased it, I don't remember how she phrased it, but she's like, just don't talk about anything around him relating to Jehovah's Witness, because his father was an elder, and he had a really hard time growing up with his father being an elder and this and that. And it's just so crazy how everything happened, because me, it's like hearing all the ex-Jehovah's Witness stories and hearing the stories from people who grew up with elder dads, it's like I can already understand, which was so cool. I'm like, no problem. I don't want to talk about Jehovah's Witness stuff anyways. But I didn't say that, obviously. I'm just like, okay. But she was such a nice person. She was so cool. Like, it was just nice. But yeah, like, even that, like, you're straight up having a Jehovah's Witness talking to two Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, one really, but, me and my sister, her talking to the both of us, knowing that we're Jehovah's Witnesses, saying how he had a bad life growing up because his father was an elder, or is an elder still. I don't know. His father was an elder regardless, and that made his life very hard. So it's like that just reinforced in me all the stories that I'm listening to, that it's true, that people aren't lying, because like I said, here's a Jehovah's Witness telling me that. And not only that, it started to make me think of in my own kingdom home, because one of my childhood friends who I grew up with, who is him and his sister, fortunately, no longer Jehovah's Witnesses. They are both disfellowshipped, and I am so proud of them. And yeah, I love them for that. But their dad was an elder, and I remember him complaining to me years ago, back when we were in high school, talking about how crazy his dad was. And like, I grew up with it. And even my two other friends, who they eventually both got married and moved, their dad was an elder. And these elder dads are just so hardcore. So it's like, I know from firsthand experience, like what it's that these people go through a hard time. But it didn't click in my mind back, all the way back then in like high school, whatever. I just thought, oh, they just have really tough dads. But it's like, why, they're the elder dads, so they're like 10 times harder on their sons and daughters when it comes to anything and everything Jehovah's Witness. So it was just very like I said, reinforcing, like from hearing from her, from this lady that I met, that telling us not to talk about anything Jehovah's Witness related because her son's dad grew up with an elder dad and he put him through hell apparently, and now he's what do you call it? He's I don't remember what his status was. I think she said he's inactive. So that was good to hear. I'm trying to move along here so I can finish this up. We're an hour 16 in. So where do we go from here? We're in 2018 now. Or no, we're at the end of 2017. So we'll go into 2018. Like I was saying before a bit, 2018, a lot had happened with me and my growing and learning. Like I said, taking in all kinds of information and really working on myself, working so hard on myself and discovering new ways to work on myself. And I had discovered the wonders of psychology, of clinical psychology, and I was able to learn so much more about myself, so much more about cults, and how to cope and deal with all of these things and heal from it. And that was huge for me in that year. And like I said, I'll get into a lot of that in separate video because there's so much to go into, but I do really want to get into that because I really feel like these things would help a lot of people. I really feel like these things would help a lot of people. So I really want to get into that. But anyways, so we're in 2017, taking in all kinds of information, still having these ridiculous arguments with my parents, and also talking to my friends about it too. Like I remember telling my friends all about it, and they were just, especially my best friend, they were just so mind blown as to what goes on in the Jehovah's Witnesses and what I had been through, because I never really talked about what I had been through. And they were just like, what the hell, man? Because they knew I was Jehovah's Witness. But like I said, the people I hung out with as a Jehovah's Witness, it was the type of people who were chill about everything, who weren't so butthurt about movies, games, activities, talking to certain people, But yeah, they were kind of blown away by everything. So yeah, I really gotta put this in different videos because this is hour 18. I'm just stressing now how long this video is. But anyways, if you made it this far, congratulations. Yeah, congratulations if you made it this far with my ADHD ass and trying to stay on topic, because this is a chore for me right now, like I said. But my throat is starting to hurt. I really need some water. But yeah, that whole bit happened, and this is probably gonna be 3 parts because there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, talking with my friends, and from that I started to form stronger bonds with my worldly friends, and just so much learning. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about how cults operate. I learned so much, and that was like when I started my healing process, and it was amazing. And I also joined a band in 2018 too, which was amazing. end of 2017 really, but it was really beginning of 2018, I joined a band, and that has been amazing too. Because I'm also a musician, and that is, as you know, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, if you have any interest in being a musician, that is, you just don't, heavily discouraged. Do you really want to be like the world? And like I said, we can go into that in a different video, but in Satan's system of things. So, oh my God, that stuff just makes me laugh now. It's so crazy. Now I understand why when I talk about these things to people who have never been a Jehovah's Witness, they start laughing, because it's so outrageous and delusional. But anyways, I'm forming stronger friendships with my friends, stronger bonds. I'm learning more about myself, starting my healing process, and it was that was pretty much my whole year of 2018. Eventually found a job at the end of 2018, or it was like June of 2018, actually, midsummer, towards the end of the summer, something like that. And which was nice, because I'm finally working, because I've been collecting unemployment forever, to the point where like you could no longer collect unemployment. It was a while, which that was annoying. But I eventually found a job, and it wasn't anything great. I was just delivering pizzas, but I literally could not find anything at the time. It was, yeah, I was just like, I'll take anything at this point. So I took delivering pizzas, and it paid pretty decent, especially where I live. I live in a college town. Especially on Fridays and Saturday nights, Thursday nights, you know, kids are going out all the time, and I'm getting deliveries like crazy, and I'm just making mad tips. I made decent money working there. It wasn't horrible. So that was cool. It was a fun job too. But anyways, moving on. Into 2019, because that was basically my whole year of 2018. Just lots of learning, lots of working on myself, and I fortunately had the time to do it, which was amazing. So strolling into 2019. Oh wait, we should talk about the memorial. So my parents, for whatever reason, expected me to go to the memorial in March of 2018, and I'm just like, I'm actually recording that day, so sorry, can't go. And I don't want to go anyways. So I was like, and as it is, I don't want to go to your stupid memorial. No, I didn't say that. But I was like, oh no, I'm not going to go to the memorial. But either way, I'm recording that day anyways. And they were so upset, probably because they kept asking me, and it was like making me feel guilty, so I just didn't give them a straight answer. It was along the lines of like, oh, I'll let you know. Yeah, I don't know. And when I said no, because it was, you know, the memorial as a Jehovah's Witness is like, you don't miss the memorial. You can miss every goddamn meeting of the year. You miss the memorial, it's like, oh, you're Satan himself, you know? But I think that was like they were so upset at me. They were so, for whatever reason, they really expected me to go to the memorial, like, even after everything I've talked about and said, but hell no. So I didn't go to the memorial, and which was cool because I was actually recording the first song I've ever recorded ever, like in a studio that day, and that was amazing. Which is called Alteration by Dead Tide. Check it out on YouTube. Little self-plug there, sorry. The song is Alteration by the band Dead Tide. You'll see me playing guitar. But anyways, yeah, this is almost an hour and a half. Oh my God. So we'll move along. Didn't go to the memorial. They got all tight and upset. I said, sayonara, not doing it. And we even shot a music video for that, which was cool. But anyways, moving on to 2019. 2019 was a pretty hard year for me. All of the debating and all that wildness eventually stopped, which was nice. Thank God, because it was annoying to deal with having these arguments. It's like I wouldn't even be starting the arguments. They would be starting the yelling and getting so emotional about everything because all that defensiveness is coming out when you say things that make sense. You got to defend yourself and put up walls any way you can. So thank God all of that was over. And pretty much 2019 was a really rough year. It was a fun year, but a rough year towards the end because I got into a very, very toxic relationship. Very toxic relationship. We'll get into that. Different video. But moving on to 2020, eventually left that toxic relationship. And during the years of 2019 and 2020, that research and stuff, it eventually kind of started to take its toll on me because it was just constant taking in of information. And when you're taking in that information, for me, and I've heard somebody else talk about this too, but for me, it started to have a negative effect because it was just a constant reminder of what I had been through because I had gotten over a lot of it, but it just became a constant reminder of, by the way, like, this is what you went through. And it was like slowing down my whole healing process. So I had to stop watching a lot of that's why now I don't really watch too much of the videos anymore. I more recently started getting back into them. And I feel now it has the opposite effect of what it had later on, is that negative effect. Now it's having that positive effect because I'm seeing it from a different perspective now. Now I am like a million times more comfortable with myself and who I am and this point I've gotten to and what I've become. And I am happy with where I am. And I am so grateful to have left the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, and seeing it from this new perspective is the best perspective, I think. Even better than when I first started watching these videos, because I'm not experiencing the weight of the negative emotions and the depression and the anxiety. So, oh my God, my butt is hurting. But so yeah, it's nice to do it now. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, a lot of what I have been doing after that is healing, because like I said, it started to take its negative toll, and taking in so much negativity all the time, you're influenced with what you take in and you surround yourself by, and that rings true in every aspect of life. So taking in all this negative energy made me feel down and hard on myself and negative, and started to pull me back. So I had to take a break and really focus on myself, and I'm glad I did. And I'll get into how I focused on myself and healed in a different video, because this is almost an hour and a half. Yeah, I guess I'll summarize it very quickly now. So I started to do a lot of healing, especially after that horrific relationship. A lot of healing, and the healing process hasn't stopped since then. I've had setbacks, of course. I've had heavy setbacks, very heavy setbacks, but the healing process has never fully stopped, thankfully. And it's all led up to now. And yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, and I'll tell you more about it in the next video or two. This might be a 3-part series. It probably will be a 3-part series. The other two, hope they're not as long as this one. We're about to reach an hour 30. Yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. I've gone through many, many, many emotions. I've been through so much shit, and I'm just grateful that I have ended up in the spot where I am now. And I'm grateful I wasn't kicked out of my house. And I'm grateful for a lot of things. And I'm honestly, the only reason I'm probably not kicked out of my house is because I'm inactive, as they say. So yes, I'm sitting on my hands because my butt hurts from sitting on this hard chair. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. It's pretty much it for this first part. Just the awakening, really. I haven't really gone into the nitty gritty, into all the details. But yeah, I just hope people, even if 2 people see this, that would be wonderful, honestly, because we need as many of these videos out there as we can get, as much content out there. But yeah, all of that from the awakening process to now has all led up to here at this point in my life. This piece of hair, man, has all led up to this point in my life. And like I said, I am unbelievably grateful to how far I've come and where I am now. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because all of it happened in a span of 4 years. Because some people it takes way longer. Some people it takes them years and years and years until they can reach even the point where I'm currently at. And I'm just very grateful. I can't express that enough, how grateful I am and happy that I am to have left, and I'm not brainwashed anymore. But one thing I've learned, a few things I've learned, I guess, is there's a part of the cult that will always be a part of you. It will just never leave you. And, you can do your best. You can do your best to deprogram and disconnect from everything. But there will still always be a small part of you that is always attached to that, unfortunately. But such is the way of life, And it's the reason why it's like that is because that's what you grew up with. That's how you were brought up to see the world. I say grew up with because most of us were born into it. I know not everyone was, but the majority has been. But regardless, even if you came in earlier in life, it can still have the same effect because it is chiseled into your brain with like a freaking enchanted hammer and chisel. It's like it put a spell on you to where it's like, this is a part of you forever, buddy. Sorry. But that's just how it is. But it's, it doesn't affect me anywhere near like it used to. Like, I'll still have my moments, of course. That's where that part of you never leaves. That part of it never leaves you, I should say. I'll still have my moments where I'm feeling really down about myself and feeling really hard on myself, but I'm going to end this in 2 minutes. Feeling hard on myself and even a little like depressed sometimes, but part of the healing process. It's not over. It's only been 4 years as opposed to 21 years of growing up with that. 4 years is nothing. I still got years to go. So I'm just glad and very grateful I made it this far. And anybody who's struggling out there, anybody who's really going through it, because I know 100%, oh my God, there's so many people who have had it way worse than me. And my heart goes out to you people because I've cried after watching some of these ex-Jehovah's Witness videos because it's so heartbreaking it's so heartbreaking, and my heart goes out to you, and just know you're not alone, and there's many of us out there that understand you. And if I can give all of you guys a hug right now, I would. I love you guys so much, and anybody who's not a Jehovah's Witness and for whatever reason this is the first video you're seeing, check more of these kinds of videos out and check out John Cedars. Just look up John Cedars on YouTube and you'll see him. English guy who makes ex-Jehovah's Witness videos. But yeah, that's really it. And I guess look out for part 2 and maybe part 3. See you later. I don't know how to do outros.